hard-working people of Melbourne, Victoria. Welcome to the Workers United Liberation Front. It is very, very important, this message. It relates to the mandate, okay? The COVID-19 mandatory vaccination direction number 4. It's going to be attached to the YouTube channel. You need to print it out. Things don't add up. If your employer is telling you you must be vaccinated to come on site, then I will challenge that. I would challenge that. Write everything down, as I've indicated in the previous messages. Write everything down. Based on this mandate, it allows for people to enter the job and to work without being unvaccinated. And we're using the actual mandate itself that says that. So we go to page 2. Right, so page 2, part 2, section 4, subsection 3. It says, if the operator collects information that a worker is unvaccinated, and the operator is the builder or your employer, if the operator collects information that a worker is unvaccinated, the operator must also collect, record and hold information whether the worker has a booking to receive by the first dose deadline, a dose of COVID-19 vaccine that will cause the worker to become partially vaccinated. So what that says is that you need to have a booking by the first dose date. It doesn't say you need to be jabbed by the first dose date. It says you need to have a booking. So what's the first dose date? You go to the last page, page 13, and there's a table there, and it says first dose date deadline 2nd of October. So what that's saying is that you need to have a booking by 2nd of October, and that booking could be for another week or two, but you just have to have a booking by the 2nd of October. Right? Then you go to page 3 of the mandate, and it's part 2, section 5, subsection 3b. This is what it says. Under exceptions, so a person that meets this criteria, you can come on site unvaccinated and work. It says this, that a worker must have a booking to receive by the first dose deadline, a dose of COVID-19 vaccine that will cause the worker to become partially vaccinated. It says it again, that you need to have a booking to receive, right, by the first dose deadline. So you go and get your booking by the first dose deadline, October the 2nd. It doesn't tell you need to be vaccinated though. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but this is pretty, when I'm reading this sounds to be pretty clear cut, right? There's more exceptions that the mandate allows for people to come out on site and work unvaccinated. And that relates to page 4, so it's part 2, section 6, subsection 2d. And it says this, workers that are required to perform urgent and essential work at the facility to protect the health and safety of workers or members of the public or to protect assets and infrastructure. So urgent and essential work. Now, you could argue, the urgency of work. I mean, there's a lot of urgent work that takes place on the construction site that must be done at a specific time to include, like, for example, concrete pours or putting in concrete panels. There's urgencies to those things, otherwise it becomes a real risk to the health and safety. Somebody could die, right? So there's definitely an urgency, so we tick that box. Urgent and essential work. Well, we're essential workers, aren't we? And we're performing essential work. So we tick that box for being allowed to come out on site unvaccinated to do that work. It gives us 2 very interesting examples too. The mandate gives us 2 examples, and there might be huge amounts of examples. It gives us 2 examples, and it says, example 1 would be securing the crane due to impending high winds. Now, we all know crane erection and dismantling is done by highly skilled, gold-class riggers. But there's also a big team that's also involved in that. Traffic management, formwork carpenters, sparkies, welders. There's a lot of people that get involved in that. So if you're doing that particular task, you can come onto the job and perform that task unvaccinated. It also gives us another example. Example 2, works required at a construction site in order to make the construction site safe for continued operation. I mean, we all do that. Every single worker does that. Every single worker is required at a construction site in order to make the construction site safe for continued operation. We all know under the regs our industry is classified under hazardous industries as high-risk work, high-risk industry. We all know that. What does that mean? That means that we need to sign a safe work method statement each time we perform a task. And that activity in that safe work method statement, it gets broken down into tasks, does it not? And then for every task, there's a risk control. So everything we do on a building site, it's about safety first, isn't it? We all know that. So we do that too. Everyone, riggers, dogmen, scaffolders, riggers, plumbers, sparkies, peggies, everyone. I mean, if I'm on the crane and I'm dogging a concrete panel and the crane's slewing across and it's on a working top deck, and we've got carpenters, we might have steel fixers, we might have sparkies and plumbers, right? Formwork carpenters. I mean, I need to make sure that these people are not in the way. I need to be aware of my surroundings so that concrete panel is not going to crash into something and cause a catastrophic event where somebody could get killed. So I'm doing that. We're doing that every day. So we tick this box under that part 2, section 6, subsection 2D. Works required at a construction site in order to make the construction site safe for continued operation. So if this concrete panel were to come off the chains or crash into something or crush somebody, that would prevent continued operation. So we tick that box too. So this is the second exception that we fit into, where we're able to come on site and work unvaccinated. And the third one is the medical exemption, the medical contraindication. But I won't get into that now because that's full on, right? But that's a third provision if we meet that criteria that we're allowed to work unvaccinated. Guys, things are not adding up. Hang in there. If your employer is telling you that you must be vaccinated to come to work by October the 5th, I would challenge that based on the mandate. You need to print this out and refer to these sections. Read it for yourself. Things are not adding up. Hang in there, guys. Hang in there. And we'll talk soon. And stay tuned and peace.